A lot has been said about the Chicago Cubs this season, and for what it's worth, I think it's time to revisit some of those questions. One, we got to talk about Alex Bregman. Two, we really need to start looking and questioning some of the moves that Craig Counsell make. Even though some work out, some don't. And of course, we got to fly that W because the Chicago Cubs pick up a huge series victory against the Milwaukee Brewers. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. I am your host. Sorry, I'm sending out this text real quick. I am your host, Mike Jones. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. First and foremost, hell yeah, let's go Cubs. Fly to W, baby. Right here on Chicago Cubs Central. Every single time the Chicago Cubs win a game, especially when they win a series, and beat the Brewers. Oh, man, it's a good day any day. I am super excited, super elated. Hope you guys are too. The Cubs move on now to face the San Diego Padres. They will welcome them for a 4-game series set. I believe it's 4 games. Let me double check that real quick. I believe it's a 4-game series set. San Diego is headed to Chicago after they get done with their game. 7:05 start time for those. They go face them Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, have Thursday off, and then 4th of July weekend, welcome in the St. Louis Cardinals into Wrigley Field for the weekend, which is weird times for this Cardinal series. So they'll play at 3:05 on July 3rd. On July 4th, the actual 4th of July celebration, they're playing at 7:08 first pitch. And then obviously on that Sunday, it'll be 1:30 start time. I mean, basically all these games will be nationally televised games all weekend for the Cubs and the Cardinals. They'll be on Peacock on Sunday. They will be on Fox on Saturday, and then obviously 3:05 on MLB TV on Friday. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I kind of want to go to one of them games. I kind of want to go to one of them games. I ain't gonna hold you, like, man, you know. But anyways, that's besides the point. Cubs take care of business, beat the Brewers, and we move on from there. We will see the Brewers again. I believe in July, we will face the Brewers again. No, we don't face the Brewers in July. We will see the Brewers again in August. August 31st. We will see the Brewers. We'll welcome the Brewers to Wrigley Field for a 4-game series set. And then like I said, we'll see them again in September. We'll play them 6 times in September. We'll see where both teams are at by then. But let's get down to business. Guys, I'm going to just be completely honest with y'all. If as a fan, if you are absolutely frustrated with Alex Bregman, I don't blame you. He is damn near unplayable, guys. Let me tell you something. He is not producing like $175 million star right now. The Cubs signed Bregman to be a middle-of-the-order force. Instead, he has spent much of 2026 well below his career standards. Reports in June noted that he carried a .669 OPS with only 5 home runs through 65 games. Guys, he has stranded so many runners in scoring position. I mean, one of the biggest criticisms is the lack of production in key situations. We saw it with the Brewers series. There were multiple times Alex Bregman had an opportunity to bust this game wide open long before we had to go into extra innings against the Brewers, and yet and still he is unable to do so. Now he did draw a walk in the top of the 10th inning and did end up actually scoring a run. But I mean, you could tell the guy that the Brewers had up was not throwing strikes. I mean, it was basically, I mean, just sit there, just stand there at the plate. This dude wasn't throwing strikes. The Cubs of Wrigleyville North, like Cubs fans were making too much noise. This dude was all out of sorts, was not together, and we took full advantage of that and was able to win the game. But that's really no thanks to Alex Bregman on that part. I mean, like I said, during the Cubs' offensive slumps, he's always been one of the biggest standout points, and he was brought here to be somebody to prevent us from having these slumps, but he just has not been able to hit. Um, I mean, I don't know, guys. I want to know from you guys. I'm going to look at both sides. Do you think Alex Bregman is truly unplayable? When the Cubs signed Bregman, the expectation was that he would provide protection for Pete Crow Armstrong, Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, and the rest of the lineup. Instead, he's often been part of the offensive problem rather than the solution. And then I need to hear from you guys on the other side. Let's think about the other side of things. I mean, maybe calling him unplayable is a little bit too strong. I mean, his defense at third base remains highly regarded. Reports note that he still ranks among the better defensive third basemen in the MLB. He still has a long track record of being an all-star caliber player. Even during his struggles, there are still flashes of production, including key home runs and RBI performances. It's just one of those things where it's just not in the moments where we need it most. I feel like Alex Bregman really does not come through for the Chicago Cubs. And he's somebody that we really wanted. Like, that's the sad part in this. I mean, I need to know from you guys, has Alex Bregman been the biggest disappointment of 2026 so far this season for the Chicago Cubs, outside of all the injuries? The injuries themselves suck. I mean, the Cubs have been knocked down with every single injury you could possibly ask or think of. But, I mean, Alex Bregman himself openly admitted that he's been god-awful. So, I mean, in my eyes and in your eyes, I want to know from you guys, what are you guys' thoughts on Alex Bregman? And, you know, has he been basically unplayable this season? I mean, for me, I would say he hasn't been unplayable. I do believe that he needs to come through. I'm still trusting in former Cubs manager Dusty Baker, who managed Alex Bregman when he was with the Houston Astros, that swears Alex Bregman is going to break out of this slump and is going to begin to hit for the Chicago Cubs. I just hope it's sooner rather than later. Because, I mean, we got him for another 5 years. We got him for another 4 years after this year, man. Like I said, that's a long time for the young man to be a part of this club. So hopefully he does eventually begin to hit for the Chicago Cubs. Now, next topic and last topic for this one, but the main topic for this episode, I wanted to know from you guys your thoughts. Can we trust Craig Counsell? Now, like I said, before everyone jumps in the comments, let's be clear. This isn't a video saying Craig Counsell should be fired. This isn't a video saying that he's a bad manager. In fact, Counsell has a winning record with the Cubs and has helped keep this team in the playoff conversation even throughout all these droughts offensively and all the injuries from the pitching staff. So, I mean, there are good points in this, but at the same time, when the Cubs signed Craig Counsell away from the Brewers on a record-breaking contract, the expectations really changed. He wasn't brought here to be good. He was brought here to be great. He was brought here to be the difference between a playoff contender and a World Series contender. And that's why we're asking the question today, has Craig Counsell lived up to the hype, or have his questionable decisions cost the Cubs more than they've helped them? So let's just break it all down. The expectations. When the Cubs hired Craig Counsell, it sent shockwaves throughout baseball. Not only did they take away Milwaukee's manager, but they made him the highest paid manager in baseball. That move was viewed as none other than a statement move. The Cubs were telling the baseball world that they were serious about winning championships. Hear the S at the end of that? Championships. At the time, many analysts considered Counsell one of the best strategic managers in the game. He led the Brewers to multiple playoff appearances, despite often having less talent than division rivals. The expectation was simple. If Counsell could win in Milwaukee with limited resources, imagine what he could do with the Cubs, who were actually going to be willing to spend money to get him the players that he needs. Fast forward to today, and while the Cubs have been competitive, the questions have not gone away, and we still have not hit our main goals yet that we have set out to do. Now, in some ways, these questions have only become louder as time goes on. Questionable decision number one, the lineup shuffle. One of the biggest complaints from Cubs fans has been Counsell's constant lineup changes. A player gets hot, he's moved up in the lineup. Another player starts producing, suddenly he's getting a day off. Fans have repeatedly questioned why productive lineups get broken up so frequently. Many hitters thrive on consistency. Baseball players are really creatures of habit. Yet it often feels like Counsell is searching for the perfect matchup every single night. At what point does flexibility become almost overthinking? At what point do analytics begin to get in the way of your best players simply playing baseball? And this is the question, guys. I look at Matt Shaw. Matt Shaw, this series, and since he has come back from injury, I look at Matt Shaw. He's been a spark plug for the Chicago Cubs lineup. Matt Shaw was one of the spark plugs that helped the Chicago Cubs win and beat the Brewers on Saturday, and turns around and is not in the starting lineup on Sunday. I look at, what Matt Shaw did to help the Chicago Cubs in that series against the Mets. And still, like I said, he'll play a day and then he'll miss a couple days, or he'll come in. And then you look at the Sunday matchup, and they have Justin Dean come in and sub in for Matt Shaw and take his AB and start playing right field. After Matt Shaw didn't even play the beginning of that game because you played Conforto. Craig Counsell plays to the numbers a little bit too much, especially with the guys in the outfield. Now, you guys know me. I'm a big believer in the eye test. I've always believed the eye test. Now, numbers and statistics are one thing, but your eyes don't lie to you. Your eyes tell you what you see. That's why you can look at somebody like Alex Bregman and say the Cubs might have wasted money, because the way Matt Shaw is playing and the way he's trying to produce for this club, I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm like, damn, I mean, kid's pretty good, man. Kid's pretty good. Did we waste that dough? But Craig Counsell plays to the numbers. And like I said, because he plays to the numbers, you see him out in right field. Because he plays to the numbers, you see him at third base. You see him at shortstop. You see him at second base. And it's just like, it's frustrating because even Craig has said himself, you got to find time to play Matt Shaw. You got to find time to play Matt Shaw. I don't know. Questionable decision number 2, his bullpen management. Now, every manager was going to get criticized for their bullpen decisions. It's part of the job. However, you cannot criticize what he did on Sunday with that bullpen. That was a masterclass on how to do a bullpen game. And outside of Ethan Roberts, every single one of those bullpen guys shined. All of them shined. With Bryce shining the biggest. Because, I mean, he for 4 1/3 inning, and he looked immaculate holding down the Chicago Cubs. Very, very impressed. The Chicago Cubs are very good at that, though. They've always have been. We're finding good key bullpen guys. The question is, can those guys stay healthy, and how does Craig Counsell manage them? Now, how many times have we watched the starter cruising through 6 innings only to get pulled early? A la Colin Ray. Happens to him all the time. How many times have we watched the reliever struggle while fans are screaming at the television, wondering why he's still in the game? That's on Tommy Hotovy too. How many times do we have to sit there and say, why is this guy still pitching? Then there are the games where Counsell gets criticized for the exact opposite, leaving the pitcher in too long, waiting one batter too many, trusting the matchup instead of trusting momentum. Bullpen management is never easy. Understand this. It's never easy. However, Craig Counsell is paid a lot of money to ensure our bullpen is intact. But several close losses during his tenure have left fans wondering whether some of his decisions have directly impacted the standings. Now, let's talk about the third thing, and this really pisses me off with what Craig Counsell does. This might be the biggest criticism of all. Craig is one of the most analytical managers in all of baseball. He believes in the percentages. He believes in matchups. He believes in putting players in situations where the numbers suggest they'll succeed. But what's the problem with that? The problem is baseball isn't played on spreadsheets. It's played on the field. Fans often point to situations where a hot hitter gets removed because of a matchup, or where a struggling player gets opportunities because the numbers say he should succeed in this moment. When it works, Craig Counsell looks brilliant. When it doesn't, it leaves fans scratching their heads, wondering just what the hell was he thinking? More often than not, lately, it's left us scratching our heads. Last but not least, let's talk about the small ball. There have been multiple situations where Cubs fans have questioned bunting, a hit and run play, and other small ball tactics. In today's game, many fans believe the best strategy is simply letting your best hitter swing away. So when Craig Counsell calls for a bunt in a key situation, criticism quickly follows after that. Now, again, I'm not telling y'all this is necessarily wrong. I'm just telling you a lot of his decision making is because of the analytics and numbers. And so because of that, it causes us sometimes to scratch our head and wonder just what the hell is he doing? And again, it becomes a fair question to ask whether some of these decisions are maximizing the talent on the roster. But again, let's be fair. Because if we were going to criticize Counsell, we also have to acknowledge the reality. The Cubs have won a lot of games under Craig Counsell. His overall record with the Cubs is above 500. Players respect him. The front office believes in him, and many of the other decisions fans criticize are actually supported by data. So let's be honest. Managers often get blamed when players fail. A manager can make the correct decision and still get the wrong results. A reliever can easily blow a save. A hitter can strike out. A defender can make an error. Not every loss is on Craig Counsell. In fact, a lot of those losses aren't on Craig Counsell. Sometimes a lot of these guys are just underperforming, a la our good friend Alex Bregman, who has just not performed up to what we thought he was going to do. But yet and still, we find ourselves in a situation where we're still behind the Brewers. Now, again, this last series allowed us to catch up 2 games, knock 2 games off the Brewers' 8-game lead that they had over us. But still, I'm looking at us and saying, what do the Brewers have? What are they doing that just totally makes them better than the Chicago Cubs? But here's where things get interesting. The Cubs didn't just hire a manager. They stole a manager from Milwaukee. The Brewers were supposed to suffer once we stole away their manager. The Cubs were supposed to take a huge step forward, yet Milwaukee keeps finding ways to win year after year, no matter who's on the roster, no matter who's managing. In fact, their current manager is two-time manager of the year. Craig Counsell has won 0 manager of the year since he has joined the Chicago Cubs. This is where the debate really begins. If Craig Counsell was supposed to be the missing piece, why haven't the Cubs clearly separated themselves from the Brewers? Why does Milwaukee keep finding success in spite of losing Craig Counsell? It's a fair question, and it's one Cubs fans asking more often than not. Now, can the Cubs trust Craig Counsell was the big thing? The answer, honestly, is probably yes. But that doesn't mean he should be above criticism. Great managers get questioned all the time. Championship managers get questioned. I mean, it just is what it is. And when you're making more money than any manager in baseball, the expectations become even higher. The reality is this: Craig Counsell has helped the Cubs. He has also made decisions that have frustrated fans. Both things can be true at the same time. The bigger question is whether those decisions will matter in October. Because ultimately, nobody is going to remember a lineup card from June. Nobody is going to remember a pitching change in May. What they will remember is whether Craig Counsell helped bring a championship back to Chicago, which is what he was brought here for. And until that happens, these questions ain't going away. But that's my take. I want to know from you guys, what do you think? Can the Cubs trust Craig Counsell? Have these decisions cost the Cubs games? Or are fans being too hard on the manager? Let me know in the comments below. Now, if you've enjoyed today's discussion, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Chicago Cubs Central and turn on the notifications so you never miss another Cubs update. And until next time, go Cubs, go. Peace.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.